Juice it up. Juice it up. Juice it up. That's still quiet. I'm going to go up a little bit more. That's why. And then tomorrow when I come in, it's going to be too quiet. Okay, that's good. All right. We're live.
Let's
Except
freaking go.
there's one that's not live. We're not live on Twitch. And it's giving me a 401. It's like you've used up your live streams for this week, Mark P. So if you're on Twitch, you're out of luck. Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3. We're in. Good afternoon, everyone. With me, as usual, is Greg on this new episode of Speaking Moistly. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. Lots going on in Canada. I really feel like a very important historical moment just happened just last week with the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure we'll kind of focus on that. But yeah, how have you been?
Oh, well, I mean, it's a wild and crazy ride, man. I talked about it on my show this morning, like going down a steep hill on skis, and there's a lot of trees. And if you hit a tree, you can't even rest there for a minute and just like wallow in it. You're hurtling more trees. Things seem to be accelerating, if you ask me. There is a situation where, well, I mean, like you said, Charlie Kirk and the people who are celebrating Charlie Kirk and all of that kind of stuff. And then all of the protests. I think this is kind of analogous in Canada because of all of these protests, this pro-Palestinian protests, all of the nonsense going on there. And the statehood of Palestine is being declared by all of these countries. And I feel like...
Sorry, real quick on that. I saw this come across my, I think, Instagram feed. And the guy was like, Mark Carney established Palestine as a state. It's a little late. The comic was like, it's a little late, I think. It's kind of too late for that. I think they kind of destroyed it already.
Right. Yeah, it's gone.
Which is dark,
really. Like,
but
it's
it was
not. Yeah,
it's
it's not what it was. And man, I was promised like Maragaza. Like I was promised a casino. I was promised.
I don't.
Quick
I find that
turnaround.
stuff creepy too, though. That shit was so dystopian, where it's like we're gonna build a Trump casino and it's gonna be a new resort.
Trump
like,
Tower. Yeah.
What's the statistic on how many children are dying a day again? Like, and you're just like
It's
making
madness.
an AI slop video about
It's madness.
Trump
No, for real. Yeah.
casino. Like that's
Tylenol?
That's Black Mirror stuff for sure.
Tylenol. All right, Tylenol. Sure. Tylenol is to blame for autism. Now, don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant, apparently. And like nothing.
Is this a recent?
Yeah, yesterday. So like 2 days at the Charlie Kirk funeral, to bring it back to Charlie Kirk, at the Charlie Kirk funeral, Trump was like, "We've got a big announcement on autism tomorrow." You know, like setting up the next days. Like, let's have a big live stream. We think we know. And they announced a cure for autism, or an injectable that's made by Pfizer, and they repurposed the drug. And I couldn't find the write up on my like chat, and I feel bad that I couldn't find the write up, but I couldn't find it again. But I've been super busy like since the show, so I haven't dedicated a lot of time to it.
Yeah.
But there was people who were saying that not only did they not blame the increase in how many things are being given to a brand new baby, which is drastic from 1980 to 2025. There's a big difference. Not only did they not blame anything to do with the vaccine schedule or anything like that, protecting the United States government's protection of Big Pharma, they blamed Tylenol, right? And so, and they rolled out this Pfizer product. And I thought, man, like betrayal. But then at the same time, Trump is like, oh, Antifa is definitely a domestic terrorist group. And I think nothing's going to happen with that, though. Right. So Trump I think he hugely missed with the autism thing.
Well, I mean, there's lots to address there. First, I think that a lot of people were saying how it was kind of gross how the memorial or the vigil or that big event turned into this like big like political rally.
Oh, the RNC, the Republican National Convention we just watched?
Exactly. Yeah. Which
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's.
Do you know that
the cynical side of me like totally gets it? Like it's like it is the opportunity. Here's our point to saber rattle. Don't let a good crisis go to waste, etc. But yeah, it was.
Did you
I don't know. It's kind of weird to like spin it into like a political speech about autism.
It's so
it's
weird.
Like, why are we here again?
It's so weird. Yep. Did you know? I didn't know this, and I believe this to be true. And so if there's fact checkers who are watching the stream, let me know. But I believe this to be true. But Trump introduced Charlie Kirk to his wife, to Erica.
Trump. Oh, is that right?
That's what I heard. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not.
There were people saying that there's so many there are all these connections that most people aren't aware of, and I was like, ooh,
I do want to talk about the Antifa thing though, because I think that's really important.
Sure, yeah, I want to talk about it.
Even if nothing happens, even making the gesture that they are a terrorist organization is so significant, and I'm really disappointed in right-wing Canadians for not thinking that we should prioritize this. And like, we can talk about the ostriches, but it's like,
we can talk about the ostriches. Yeah.
It's like, guys, and I guess it's difficult when you're in the right wing in Canada and you're watching Mark, you're watching, myself, whoever. I hope you realize, like, we are in an echo chamber, big time. We are in an echo chamber. And just because we think, oh yeah, of course, Antifa terrorists, just because we think this or that, most people outside of our echo chamber probably do not think that. And outside of our echo chamber, the casual dehumanization of right-wing minded, conservative minded Canadians continues.
Yes.
And I feel like after Charlie Kirk, with Trump leading the way to designate Antifa a terrorist organization, we have multiple examples of terrorism, political violence happening in Canada under the name or closely associated with Antifa. And it's like, if Polyev was serious, I don't see why he wouldn't at least call for this. Because that's the thing. I don't think it's actually going to happen in Canada. Essentially, these institutions are aligned with Antifa politics. I don't think it's actually going to happen. But it's like, you could at least make the gesture. So that would at least be a good thing for your base that would get them excited. And we'd finally have this confrontation between conservative-minded people and the political establishment of like, hey, stop dehumanizing us, okay? Like, Antifa is a good nucleus representation of the sort of, whatever, anti-conservative, anti-patriot, anti-white, anti-straight people. Antifa represents all of that.
I agree.
And
sorry,
I want to relate to C9, but go ahead. You can.
Well, I just remember what happened when Samadan was declared a terrorist organization, or the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, IRGC.
How long ago was that? Did that happen?
So yeah, right, exactly. They declared them. They talked about it forever. In like 2020, they started talking about how we really have to declare. This is correct. We should declare the Iranian Revolutionary Guard terrorists. And then the conservatives are like, "So when are you going to do that?" And they're like, "Any day now. It's definitely coming for sure, for sometime soon, very soon." And then it just never happened. And years passed, and nothing happened. And then they did declare it, I think, recently, and then that caught Samadin or something like that. But Samadin was also a registered charity, and it was only just the other day, like last week, that Mel Joly, I think it was Mel Joly, put out a letter saying we're going to end their ability to be a charitable organization in Canada right now. And I thought, like, if we are going down the route of declaring Antifa a terrorist organization, does that mean that the police are going to stop trying to kill the ostriches and arrest the Antifa? Or, like, it doesn't seem, I don't think it's going to change anything. That's my worry, because it hasn't done anything on the terrorist front. Has there been any Khalistani terrorists arrested?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. But to me, a lot of like what I talk about, what in my political commentary comes from this, comes from what I just said a moment ago, which is we are in an echo chamber. Okay. Mm-hmm. If we are not disrupting the mainstream conversation, then we are really not being that effective at changing anything whatsoever in this country. There's millions of brainwashed people who still watch CBC, who, watch their totally left-wing progressive Instagram feeds, and anything that we say is not permeating that. The person who has access to that the most is Pierre Polyev. Sure. He has access to that mainstream conversation. So every time that he drops the ball or doesn't push things forward, it's super, super frustrating. And I guess, again, it's such a missed opportunity to actually make that confrontation. We are still stuck in Canada anyway, in this liberal paradigm where being racist is the worst thing ever. And it's now we have this tragedy of a basically moderate, regular Christian conservative getting publicly executed. Mm-hmm. This is a perfect moment where, why would you hesitate? Why would you, we got to look at the focus groups. And it's just man, you guys are, And I've already talked about it. I've been making TikToks about it, but it's like there is violence inflicted upon the conservative base in Canada. You know, they get smeared. If you're effective at being a conservative voice, a Christian voice in Canada, you get smeared. You get demonized by the political establishment.
Yep.
Are you aware of this? Are you going to stand up for us? And the answer, unfortunately, especially if he's not going to say anything significant about Antifa in Canada, the answer is no. The answer is no. And to me, they have just failed. The Conservative Party of Canada has failed a really, really bad test, and people should really be paying attention to this. I think.
But people don't, and I think that one of the things I've been talking about the last couple of weeks, a little bit more. I've been firming up my opinion on this in the last couple of weeks, and I think that we play a game. And we don't understand the broader game we're in. And I'm going to try and describe the game. And I've talked about this with friends, and I've talked about this on my show a couple of times. So apologies if I've gone. No, the game is called democracy, but we don't play it right. So like there are three levels.
Big air quotes. Democracy.
Yeah, well, it doesn't.
Board game democracy.
It doesn't really exist. It's not real.
Make me an image.
Yeah, for real. So there are three levels. The third level is the puppeteers, and they're invisible. The bottom level is you and me. I'll get there. Just give me a second.
No, I'm picturing it. Okay.
And you and me are on the bottom level. We are just the citizens. You're regular run-of-the-mill citizens. You go to a job. You own a business. You are a farmer. Sure. You're not a political leader. You're in the bottom rung. And the secondary rung is the political leaders. So our game of democracy impacts the second rung. The second rung is put in place by the elites or the puppet masters in the third tier. You don't see the third tier until you get to the second tier, but you can only get to the second tier with the permission of the third tier. So the citizens are not supposed to see this top.
Have you ever looked up elite theory?
Elite theory?
Elite theory.
Yeah,
there's a book called The Populist Delusion, which I think, and there's a whole bunch of like books and different like commentators or thought leaders who talk about this sort of elite theory. And the idea, the Populist Delusion is basically a book that says populism is fake. It's not actually real. Like the people actually don't matter. They don't actually steer society. It's actually a group of elites that do it. Yeah. And the thing is, it talks about how who is elite, how to become an elite. I think it's like what you said, is like people with more power from like, the shadowy puppet class. They need to kind of like bequeath different people with authority or whatever. But
I also equate it to people on the chessboard, like pieces on the chessboard. You know what I mean? But
sure.
Importantly, our game never impacts this top rung ever. It's designed this way so that the second rung, which is put in place by the top rung, control the bottom rung. And in this way, if we continue to propagate the old playing the game of democracy, using a strategy that would work in a democracy, because a democracy eliminates this top third one, right? Democracy, it's just these two, right? The citizens control this, and they change them out, and they're really in control. That's a democracy, and I mean democracy, a democratic republic, whichever. I think there's misunderstandings about that, but that's beside the point at this point in time. So if we continue to play this game where we refuse to see that third tier and replace people, like say, why isn't Polyev doing this when he's missing a prime opportunity? The reason is because he doesn't actually work for us. He works for this third tier that is rewarding him for doing exactly what he's doing for some reason. And it's the same reason why Polyev and no conservative has spoken out about the ostriches, right? They're not working for us. So our game impacts them, the second tier, but our game never impacts the real power, and the real power controls the second tier. The only reason our game impacts the second tier is to placate us, is to make us quiet about it.
Sure, and that's to say though that the people still do have power. It just needs to be done in a way that hurts that middle class or like the managerial class,
I think that I hear you that we still have power. We still have a little bit of power, I guess. I could believe that. But I think overall, if a country asserted itself, even a country like the United States, you would see financial headwinds like you've never seen in either of our lives. You know what I'm saying? Like we would see a new depression, or we would see oil kick off, or whatever. There would be some financial consequence, because the globalist powers that be at that top level, because I think it's globalists, but I have no idea specifically who. I couldn't give you their names. But the globalist powers that be, if you aren't under their thumb, you will be punished until that changes, right? I think, personally.
Yeah. I mean,
at a country level.
The idea that there's, I would call the globalists, like, foreign interests, corporate interests. People like to talk about how there's people of different, like, there's the World Sikh Organization, for example.
Mm-hmm.
There's, people talk about how Jewish power, how that operates in American government.
Ian Carroll did a good breakdown recently.
Yeah.
Just talking about specifically
that. It's, I think all this stuff is like, fair enough, good to know. But I don't know. These days, I try not to encourage people to black pill, because when you go into the world of politics, it really is treacherous, because it's all out of your control. Pretty well, all of it is out of your control.
Yep, I agree there.
But there's also things you can do to be productive if you kind of like focus in on leverage points that can be effective. And to me, I think that pressuring Polyev to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization was a great example of a pressure point.
Sure.
But everyone's like, oh my God, the ostriches. And I'm not here to say that the ostriches thing isn't like crazy or whatever.
Breaking news. Greg wants the ostriches to die.
Yeah. But, the timing is important. And unfortunately, it looks like they're just going to let this one kind of fall by the wayside. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's very, very scary, because we saw tens of thousands of people publicly celebrate the execution of a moderate conservative. Mm-hmm. Some of those people were in Canada. That's people who did it publicly. How many people were celebrating it privately?
Yeah.
So we live in a society where people think it's okay to publicly execute moderate conservatives, and the conservative leader.
Yes, we have been on a steady diet. Remember Jussie Smollett and the hoax that was initiated. He had people who were paid to come and beat him up, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, the racist MAGA people! This is MAGA country, right? Jeers, yeah. Right? So like this, we have had. You got to punch a Nazi, right? What's all these people? Like, if you support President Trump, was the message. Johnny Depp got up and said, "When's the last time an actor killed a president?" People are talking about. But it's not just that. It's also this whole idea of, if you are a person who's an old stock Canadian, then you're part of this colonialist entity that took over Canada and stole it from these people. So we've been fed an unending diet of justifications for violence on white people, or old stock Canadians, whatever you want to call it. Justifications for executing somebody who dared to talk about God in a way that God, and what Charlie Kirk more broadly spoke about as well. A lot of people focused on God over the last couple of days, but I mean, I'm sure he was very impassioned debating and mega talking points more broadly. But I don't know exactly what he was executed for. Some people say he was too influential. I don't believe. Do you believe?
That it was Israel?
Do you no? Do you believe the official story? No. Do you believe the official story that the shooter was able to? I've watched a video of a 30-06 round, a 30-06 caliber round going into a jelly head, so like a mock-up of a human head, and that head exploded. There was nothing left of the head. Your wife's
like, honey, dinner's ready.
Nothing left.
You're watching a bullet go into a jelly head.
Hold on a second.
It's important.
It exploded enough that it obscured the camera's view.
I'm learning how to be a ballistics expert.
There was nothing on the backdrop. And there's all sorts of weird stuff. So one, I watched a ballistics expert talking about a 30-06 bullet.
Right.
Two, I watched a guy who take down a Mauser, tear down a Mauser and put it into a backpack that was similar in size to the one that he supposedly broke down and put it into. And the gun didn't fit. And two, tearing it down after being fully calm, and as he's taking it apart with tiny little tools and stuff. There's an Allen key. And yeah, it was like 40 seconds. Okay. And this guy supposedly, like the video was 40 seconds. And the whole time he's talking about how the guy, his adrenaline would be elevated after successfully, pumping off a kill shot type deal, all of these things. And he's like, I would not be able, and like, he's just going there with the screwdriver, and he took 40 seconds. He's like, I would not be able to do this quickly because my body would not be cooperating with me because of the adrenaline. And he said, like, the timeline of the 3 seconds after the shot where the crowd is still kind of sinking and the guy's running across the roof already torn down the thing and put it into his backpack. And that's the other thing. He took the stock, he took the barrel, he put them into the backpack, and they were sticking up quite a lot, not a little bit. There's no way he could have zipped it up. Just no way. Like, absolutely no way. And he said, he made other points saying the length of the stock, the length of this barrel, which is standard for this gun, or this firearm, whatever he said, would prevent you from being able to run upstairs like this. And he showed video of him running upstairs. And I was like, okay, like, I'm a believer already, but the whole official story for me, I don't know. Very skeptical guy right here. Suspicious eyebrows.
Yeah, I mean, I almost don't even care, because for me, the reaction of leftists celebrating his death, like, to me, that's the actual story. That's what it's turned into for me. That, to me, that's almost more shocking than the horrific clip of his, neck with the graphic blood and everything.
That was the other thing.
To me, the more pressing thing is these demons on TikTok who are like celebrating it.
But they've been encouraged to.
And it's like, this is these are people who are among us, and not only that, they have a sign on their lawn that says, "In this house, we support BLM," and also shooting Charlie Kirk in the neck. It's to me, that's
the weird thing. If really that sign exists on Amazon, it's making some money. Like,
yeah, no, that's
ridiculous.
gross.
Yeah,
and yeah, I don't know. It's definitely made me stronger in my faith, because it's like, I feel like people saw evil. That was one of the inspiring things. One of the silver linings, I think, was so many people were like, wow, like, we need to check ourselves here for a minute. This guy got shot on a college campus under a banner that said "Change my mind" or like "Prove me wrong."
Yeah. Come and
like,
open debate. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
I do want to talk about the Jimmy Kimmel thing, because I kind of think that's a conspiracy a little bit.
Which part?
So Jimmy Kimmel got I guess canceled or kicked off of his show.
I think he got fired.
Did you see? Well, but you got to understand, in the mainstream conversation, I was just talking to a normie this morning. The normies are like, wow, the right has gone insane. They're censoring Jimmy Kimmel. I thought they were pro free speech.
Remember when they killed Roseanne? They killed Roseanne and gave her show to Dan.
No, like, I get it. Like, these people are hypocritical retards who don't follow the ball at all. They just kind of listen to CNN and they just consume their drip. Yeah. But I guess, like, it's interesting how they've so quickly reclaimed the moral high ground against the right wingers, to say, like, wow, these right wingers they're hypocrites, like, look at them. And it's like, are we going to talk about the fact that, possibly millions of people just celebrated the public execution of a moderate conservative? It's like, no, we're going to talk about how, like, right wingers are hypocrites or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Kimmel was trying to spread information that he was a MAGA guy, and the FCC guy was saying in his comments, and I watched the whole FCC guy's comments. Well, I don't know, what, 2 or 3 minutes of them. He was talking about how The View was saying things that weren't true. And this other program was in hot water for saying things that weren't true. And like, it seems like it's part of a pattern for this network. Like, this isn't just a one-time thing,
But you know what? I call bullshit on that too. Since when does the FCC care about, like, lies being told on television?
Yeah, right, exactly. Right. There was a repeal of the act that prevented lies on television in 2012 under Obama on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, so like, when it comes to my conspiracy theory, I think it's like Kimmel's ratings weren't hot.
Yeah,
And it's like, let's just, do this whole thing of him getting canceled
sure.
and then make it seem like the right wings are hypocrites. And then like, we'll bring him back. And I'm pretty sure he's already coming back like tonight or something like
Yeah,
this.
there's one big news.
So
There's one big ABC subsidiary who's like, yeah, we don't want him. He's not coming back on ours. We're just gonna run news.
cool.
It got way better ratings, so you guys
Yeah.
can just do whatever you
But
want.
I do want to say though, like why I feel this is I don't really know anyone who was like outraged by what Jimmy Kimmel even said.
No, well, it was just a violation of the FCC rules, and like they were saying that.
Yeah, but again, since when?
Yeah,
Since when is that happening?
The
Dude?
worst case scenario, they get a fine. Now, I didn't see this as Trump's administration trying to crack down on free speech as much as they tried to make it about that. I didn't see. I agree with you. I looked at that and I said, people were still watching him.
Yeah, I'm saying like strictly from a vibe standpoint. I saw this happening, and it's like I know a lot of right wing people. I haven't seen one clip. I haven't seen one right wing account on Twitter like complaining, "Oh, that was so disgusting what Jimmy Kimmel said." It was more like, I really don't care what happens to Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
But like when I actually watched the clip, sure, the premise of the joke is like really awkward because he kind of lies and said it was clearly a MAGA person. Like it's this weird like
setup,
partisan sort of like comment, which is total. It's kind of par for the course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for Jimmy Kimmel. But like the joke itself, when he makes fun of Trump, I actually agreed with Jimmy Kimmel there. Did you see the clip where he's like kind of teasing Trump about it?
No.
Because Trump is asked on the White House lawn, hey, like, your friend Charlie Kirk, well, like, he's like, yeah, we're working on a ballroom right over here. Like, it's like, Trump, what the, like, that's gross, dude.
Yeah. No, the
Mr.
whole
President.
reason.
Mr. President.
Yeah, the whole
Kind
reason,
of weird, bro.
Well, they made it into an RNC, but the whole reason that it was a nothing burger to me was because the left, as they always do, they misrepresented the reality of it, and they can't deal with the reality of it, which is basically that Jimmy Kimmel's like an unfunny hack, and he exists to spew propaganda to the dozens of followers that he has. I don't know, like, and I say that as somebody who's a very censored YouTuber, like, and I don't even care, like, but it is. It's interesting to watch because it's part of what's wrong with comedy. Like it can't even be funny if you have to do the setup and explain to people, here's the bad guy, here's the good guy, and then here's the joke. And it's much better if the joke is self-explanatory. You don't want to explain your jokes, right? And I just feel like Kimmel's a hack who has to explain his jokes or set up false deep premises for them to work at all. Anyway.
Well, yeah, and the mainstream media kind of does that for him, right?
Yeah.
It is really, I thought about this a lot in terms of, comedy writing and how polarized the world is because, I'm somewhat confident doing stand-up, some of my comedy in front of a right-wing audience, but in front of a left-wing audience, like probably not, it's a little different.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they say with comedy, you need to, like how a joke works is you kind of establish like what's normal and then you deviate from that. Like you have a base reality and then you kind of deviate from the base reality. Yeah. But it's like when the left and the right can't even like agree on a base reality. And that's not always true, but like on various issues, they're coming from completely different sides.
Have you seen? There was one guy who did the comparison of Christmas songs or just "Baby It's Cold Outside" and WAP, I think it was. And that was like a good 5-minute bit, right? Of taking like reality and then just like totally inverting it, but it's not even inverted reality. So.
Taking flirting from the when was that song written, like the 40s or the 50s or something? Taking like flirting from the 50s and comparing it to squishy Nicki Minaj, like
macaroni in a pot.
Basically,
that's a WAP.
Basically, just pornographic material and saying, "Oh my God, this is so dehumanizing to women."
Yes, I had a person that I knew was driving a car, and he was the age at the time when this song was popular that WAP was like blaring out of his stereo when he pulled up to where I was, and out of the car got his sister and his grandmother, and I was like, dude, you can't. What are you doing? Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
What do you think about the ostriches? Just pivoting away from WAP.
Could you maybe fill me in on the ostriches? I saw some clips of like, what was it, RCMP SUVs rolling up in the middle of the night, and the cull of like 500 ostriches was approved. Yeah. Where are we at? What's the ostrich update?
So
what's the latest?
Before we started rolling on the show here today, They were alive as far as I knew. I hadn't seen anything, but it seems like the RCMP keep giving final warnings. Like I saw a warning yesterday, and like the owner of the farm, who's a lovely lady who keeps giving updates and live streaming and stuff. Like I don't know her or anything like that, but she seems very invested emotionally in what's going on, which like I can't blame her, right? It's her farm. And so she's asking questions and they seem very genuine. So like if you want the information, like check out those streams. But up till just before we were rolling, I didn't see anything other than, there's another warning. So yesterday I saw a final warning where she was told, like, this is what's going to happen if you're in the way when we do move forward. And then I saw the same thing kind of around 1:00. And then at like 1:30, I saw something about a lawyer had filed an urgent appeal, an urgent stay, and they're hoping to hear back. Either they're going to hear it, and then if they're going to hear it, then that gives them a day or whatever. But they're basically trying everything they can to delay all of this. It doesn't really make sense. The last time the birds were tested was something like November 2024. It's been 250 odd days or 245 plus days of them
but
being
they didn't get
healthy.
booster shot, right? This is the whole problem, I thought.
They didn't get a booster shot. I don't know if they got a
They
booster
didn't
shot.
get a COVID-19, COV-2 booster shot, so they need to be
The birds?
put down, yeah.
I don't think it has.
Wait, it wasn't about COVID booster shots?
No, I don't think it had. No. It had to do with bird flu. No. It's bird flu. It's bird flu. So like the policy with wildlife is if
they should
you
get
have,
vaccinated first COVID-19, though, probably.
You're kidding.
You don't think?
No, I don't think vaccinated for COVID-19.
Oh, okay. So you want old ostrich grandmas to just die then? Okay, all right.
You're damn right I do.
You heard it here,
Damn
folks.
right.
Yeah, I'm kidding, of course.
I'm cold. No, it wasn't a COVID. No, the policy basically with any illness, if you've got like a pork flu, like if you've got a swine flu, or if you've got bird flu or anything like that. Ooh, Greg's busy. Bird flu or swine flu or anything like that, then they call anything that's had any kind of contact with it. And the people are worried because this sets a precedent. Like they haven't tested these birds. There were injunctions. The farm wasn't allowed to bring any new evidence to the court. They weren't allowed to test the birds. If they tested the birds to prove for antibodies or anything, because these are medical research birds. They're not even food birds. But people are worried that this will set the precedent that if somebody, for whatever reason, tests a backyard chicken or some reason, they say, listen, your cat had contact with this cow that has bird flu, and now we're worried your cat's going to have bird flu, so we got to put it down. And it won't make any sense because this doesn't make any sense either, right? But they're setting the precedent for if somebody says something stupid, the RCMP have to come and do it. And people are also worried that this could extend to families. You got one person who's unvaccinated sick, while all the unvaccinated people have to leave and go to quarantine area. If you're vaccinated, you can stay, but if you're unvaccinated, you have to go, right? Like
it's certainly eerie how it echoes the same sort of logic or the illogical policies during COVID.
Yeah, scary stuff, man.
And I mean, they can make that argument. These ostriches are taller than people. Some of them identify as humans. So really, what's the difference? That's definitely very. Did you say it all started with somebody saying something wrong? Is that what you?
No, I don't think saying something wrong. The ostriches were tested in 2024. They were just tested, and this is like agricultural policy. This is just like how to manage.
Right.
Like if you go to the agricultural policies, and you'll find these.
But the thing is, though, that's how they get you, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh no, this is
not
just an
laws.
agricultural policy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, this is just a health policy. No, this is just an air quality policy. No, this is just
the YouTube terms of use policies.
Yeah, this
Apple
is just this is just a prosperity and livelihood policy that we have to put you down.
Yeah, that you have to die. Yep.
Not fun.
It's pretty wild stuff, man.
Let's talk about Bill C9. Have you cracked into this thing yet?
Oh, buddy. Yeah, I'm genuinely concerned that they will. Well, I mean, I think obvious targets are people that I've spoken to over the last 5-10 years. I mean, like the Dominion Society.
Well, what do you mean targets? I thought this is a good faith bill that's going to stop the bad activists, right? Like
Well,
that's
it's
what I think
just
is funny about it. It's kind of like, okay, there's only certain types of activists, certain types
they're
of
paying.
protests.
They're paying. So like when we were talking about Antifa, they are funding Antifa. I think that the government is funding Antifa because the government can't directly fund a paramilitary group that will bother right-wing private citizens. They can't do that. So they are funding not agencies necessarily, because I don't think it's direct, but they fund the NGOs, and the NGOs then disperse the funds to support things like, what's that Canadian outfit that's funded by the government? That's those guys, right? Like that is one example, but I think that there's a lot more money that's being thrown into that kind of space, and so
Well, yeah.
it's not
So the
honest.
biggest smoking guns are, I think, over $1 million over the past like year and a half has gone to the Canadian Anti-Hate Network. They have a track record, and their members, contributors, have a track record of either lying or kind of obfuscating the truth, or not kind of being transparent with where they come up with their hate expert opinions. Barbara Perry is like she's like, some university professor that supposedly has credibility, even though a lot of her testimonies have been thrown out, or expert opinions have been thrown out of various court proceedings of convoy people. And she apparently she went up there and she's like, oh yeah, like Christians are inherently like radical, like all sorts of insane stuff.
Right.
But anyway, the more kind of a smoking gun stuff is there was a leaked Zoom call before these like anti-transgenderism in school protests. Like there's a lot of concerned parents who are protesting against the transgenderism in schools. And there was leaked Zoom calls of the CUPE union mentioning anti-hate website, talking about how they have seasoned activists. At the next event, Fred Hahn is there right next to Nick Alexander. It's right, Josh Alexander and Nicholas. I think Nicholas was the one who got like cut in the eye by violent people who are wearing masks and probably have Antifa stickers on whatever. So Antifa violence right next to the president of the largest union in Ontario. Like whether it's officially funded or not, they certainly collaborate.
I don't think anything
on political violence. You could argue.
I agree. I don't think that anything that's publicly funded should have a union. The whole thing is
right.
Very concerning. But I hear what you're saying.
But yeah, to get back to C9, it's just a bunch of more tools for lawfare against people you don't like. Like I think I was talking to Randy Hillier like a year ago when I interviewed him, and he was like, chances are if you assault somebody or if you like attack them or whatever, you probably don't like them very much. And that's just kind of speaking to this like hate crime charge. This is another thing that's packed into this bill, where any crime that you commit, mischief, for example, you could say that the mischief was motivated by hate, or like that the murder was motivated by hate. It's like, well, I probably didn't like the person very much to begin with, if that's something that happened. But that stuff's spooky because it's so broad. So you could make it's basically giving these like anti-hate people, these hate experts, just kind of like teeing it up to be like, okay, let's charge this person with a bunch of bullshit. We'll make it up after the fact of why they're hateful, blah, blah, blah. We'll just write a few words.
But that's
ChatGPT, explain to me why this person's a hateful person, drag of society, who should be locked up for 5 years. It's on its face. What I find surprising about C9 is that it's almost like, instead of obfuscating the fact that they're going to take away our free speech, they're just kind of like, you know what? Let's just kind of be upfront about it. They're like, it's hate. It's anti-hate bill. And it's like, wow. So you're not even going to like really try to sugarcoat this at all. Because with Bill C-63 last year, they tried to dress it up about being protecting kids online and blah, blah, blah. All this kind of like pretty language.
How they're going to come out with that too.
Online.
They're coming out with that too.
Yeah, no, they're going to diversify.
I was going to say, this is not the end of this.
For sure.
Yeah, this is.
Have you heard anything specifically of online legislation coming down the pipe?
Yep, he said that later in the fall. Yeah, Sean Fraser, I showed a clip of it. Sean Fraser was talking about the 3 stages of the bills they're going to pass, and the first one.
That's awesome! That's so great! That's amazing! Love this country, man.
It's happening, but it's happening all over the West. That's what I'm saying. Like England is doing and has done the same thing.
I get that, but it's like we live in Canada and we actually have the gift of seeing what's happening in the UK to be able to, okay, this is where this is
People,
going. Do we
yeah.
want this
Do
here
you
or
remember
not?
COVID? Do you remember COVID?
Yeah.
So like people knew it was fake. People knew it was bullshit. People knew, like a lot of people were very well aware that this whole thing was bunk, and nobody did a damn thing. And everybody could see that like what was going on. Everybody, maybe not everybody,
Well,
but
people did do a damn thing, and a lot of them have either been,
absolutely
dragged
crushed.
through the
Yeah,
courts
yes,
and
crushed.
spend hundreds of
Lawfare.
thousands of
Yes.
dollars on
We
lawyers.
we
They
did
still
not.
have court dates going on.
So who won? We're being back in the we're back in the pressure cooker. They're trying another.
Why do our conversations always come back to this?
I know, right? It sucks. And it's not that like
Black-pilled Mark.
it's not. No,
We're never gonna win, man. We're never gonna do anything about it.
I feel like
keep
our
losing.
strategy, we lose because our strategy's bad. I feel like we have like a thoroughbred racehorse or a Stanley Cup winning hockey team, to borrow Mark Carney's analogies. We've got just an unbelievable car engine. Everything's perfect. We're just missing the will to use it. You know what I'm saying? We are incapable of recognizing where we are. And so we are allowing ourselves to be led by people who are disingenuous. And it's not that I'm black-pilled. I just want us to use a winning strategy instead of the continual losing strategy that we keep employing. It bothers me. And I don't know how to, I don't know what the winning strategy is, but I know that it's attacking that third level. I know the truckers attacked that third level. I know that they did because it scared the hell out of them. And now they're making all sorts of laws to make sure that that doesn't happen again. But that's the kind of response we need, because if we do the second level, if we target the second level, we're still playing a game that ultimately locks us out of the actual power of the third level.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that. There's no quick fix. There's no easy solution. This isn't like just shoot a missile into the Death Star. This isn't like, oh, we're going to do another convoy and solve our problem. No. We need political organizing. We actually need like entrepreneurs a lot more than we need like activists. But like, being professional and being long-term minded is what we need. Well, and I also think another big element of this is people need to stop putting lipstick on a pig when it comes to Pierre Poilievre. They need to honestly ask themselves.
But it's not just Poilievre; it's the Conservative Party altogether. There are no conservative parties in Canada. Look at Tim Houston. Look at Doug Ford. Look at Poilievre.
Sure, but if you go in deeper and you look at not just the Conservative Party, but the various organizations around them that also prop them up or kind of like maintain the status quo. They suck up all the resources and they prop up Pussy Poilievre. Like to me, this is where a lot of there's probably a really good analogy for this, but it's almost like it's a vacuum. The CPC is this vacuum that just kind of sucks up all of the sort of frustration, all of the sort of justified, morally righteous anger that Canadians feel, and it kind of just dissipates from there. And I think that's the convoy. If you saw what happened after the trucker convoy and with Poilievre kind of like taking all of that momentum, and where did it go? Where did that momentum of the convoy go? We have clear receipts and examples of us living in an authoritarian country. And that wasn't even a fucking talking point from Poilievre. Part of my language, but like he hardly ever chimed on that at all for 3 years. Yeah. And now we have Tamara Litch, Chris Barber facing 7 years. They want to destroy Chris Barber's truck. Poilievre has said nothing. He made one tweet. Like,
and he hasn't talked about the ostriches either. And he hasn't talked about, like, he talks about the invasion, but then also wants to bring in healthcare workers from Indonesia or India or anywhere else. Right. And again, similar problem from after the COVID situation, where BC was firing healthcare workers because they weren't vaccinated enough or something like that. And Poilievre wouldn't mention that either. And so like, I look at that and I don't say we have to push him. I look at that and say, why does anybody pay any attention to this party at all? Because they're not effective at being opposition.
Yeah, but dude, like I said, they have access.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
they have access to the mainstream conversation, which is why they're kind of a useful thing to try and push or
But the
pull around because
mainstream
of
conversation,
the platform and the influence that they do have. It's an unfortunate part of the game. Like you can't deny the reality of the game we're playing here with the sort of the very big footprint that the Conservative Party of Canada has. And I think
they were only created post 2000, wasn't it 2003? Like they're not that old. That the Conservative Party of Canada, it's not that.
Yeah, but you can't. Politics always stays the same. Okay, like it's always going to be
Until
a
it
large
doesn't.
group of
Until you're using Discord to elect your leader, Nepal. That just happened in Nepal.
psychologically. Politics is always the same, which is you're trying to get
That's the problem.
You're trying to get a large group of people. Well, but that's the problem. If you say that's the problem, that's like saying, well, I wish human beings weren't the way that human beings were. So it's like you're going to be wishing for something that's just never going to happen unless you're someone who's like believes in transhumanism. But we need politics stays the same, as in it's going to be trying to get a large group of people pushing or moving in the same direction. And right now, what we need in Canada is people pushing or leading the way for Poilievre and the Conservative Party. Like, for example, I think Dominion Society is doing a great job at this, pushing forth true Canadian nationalism based on historical fact, pushing remigration and why it's actually a very reasonable policy for Canada, any political party to adopt. We have a 10-point remigration plan on the website. And they're already kind of adopt the, they're disavowing the international students. This stuff has already happened within the first couple of months of us being founded, but we need more things like that. We need Maxime Bernier and the PPC stepping up, like go forward and say the things that Poilievre is not going to say and, call him out for. I guess what I really reject and what I think people should not buy into at all is the lip service, is the sort of like quietly waiting for Poilievre and the Conservative Party to do the right thing. Stop doing that. Nothing happens. Nothing is happening. They're lying to you because they want you to shut up. They want you to shut up. They want you to trust the plan. Don't trust the plan. These people have done nothing to stand up for us or anything that's going on.
But see, that's my argument about the Conservative Party, and like my argument about the broader everything about all of the political parties currently in Parliament. They're not
sure, but you're talking about the three levels, right?
Yeah.
And the trucker convo is an example of how, if the people are unified, moving in the same direction enough on a thing, then the middle, the managerial class will then react to it.
But
and it's
all that happened was
they do it cynically, and they don't do it like wholeheartedly, like that's what they actually believe. But they still do it, and that still does shift the conversation. It does shift the Overton window. It does shift the culture. So it's it's the closest thing to winning, or at least it's a step in a positive direction.
Maybe. I don't want to attack the middle class. I want to attack the top one. I don't want to attack the managerial class. I want to attack the top one.
Well, but you can't access the upper. So it's not the middle class, it's the managerial class, right?
The leadership. I call it leadership class. This is just the civilians, leadership class, and then.
But you can't access the top.
Yeah, you can. The Occupy Wall Street people did. The trucker convoy did. But the trucker convoy made a mistake in that they thought they were only fighting, or what they were fighting for was the COVID stuff, and they won the COVID. They won a lot of the COVID stuff. They unhinged the West from that COVID stuff. It was collapsing at the same time, you think, maybe? But more broadly, we lost the war there. We won a battle, but we didn't win the war, and we could have won the war. We shook those guys. We shook that power structure, right? But we didn't understand what we were doing. And we need to be intentional, and we need to strategize, not attacking this one, but attacking this one. And then when we get them shaking, we have to have a plan what to do next to take them out.
So I think
because then that nullifies this one. It nullifies them.
To be more specific, you need to attack the agenda of the people at the
There's
top.
Somebody running.
If you mess up their agenda, then it becomes a problem, and that's when that's when you really start to do damage. Like, for example, with COVID, like what was the agenda there? It was drive billions, trillions dollars of profit in healthcare.
They wanted,
and
they were trying to get us into basically a digital ID. The COVID passport was
Sure.
then what the digital ID is now. Like, we're in the same pressure cooker. That's what I mean. We won a battle, COVID. We lost the war. We didn't understand that these guys are not joking, and they want to subjugate us. They want to bring in communism in. We're just
hold
like
on.
China.
Well, what's the difference though between what I just said and what you're saying? Because what I'm saying is what we can do on a more practical level is find more effective leverage points of pressuring the Conservative Party of Canada, or leading the way, or sort of like,
they don't work for us. The Conservative
Okay,
Party.
so
of Canada
what's
doesn't
your idea?
work for us? No, I would love, my idea is we should sit around and we should have a conversation where we try and break the story. You know what I mean? Because how do you attack? It's like coming up with chess strategy or a game strategy or a tournament strategy for a hockey team. You know what I mean? Win games, sure, but like who's going in what slot and who's doing what and so on and so forth, right? So like,
I have a specific answer to that though in this Conservative Party issue. Like, I think there's now two wedges to stick into this Conservative Party of Canada. Wedge number one is strongly opposing mass immigration. I'm out of focus. Strongly opposing mass immigration and advocating for starting deportations, because that is something that the base of conservatives would agree with, but the leadership does not.
If you put time into trying to influence the party, they'll tie you up for years so you don't attack the top one. You know what I'm saying? If you go through, and like, I could be wrong. I'm not trying to dismiss your idea, but they will jerk you around for years. They'll say, "Oh yeah,
That's what I'm talking about, the lip service." That's why you
and
don't stay
Polyev
quiet.
has jerked around everybody for years. Absolutely, I agree with you. But I think they will jerk you around more if you try and go through the political parties, go through the second class to attack the top. In order to attack the top, you have to go around.
Tell me what
this
attacking
class.
the top looks like, though, other than Occupy Wall Street and the convoy. And in both cases, this was sort of like a large group of people moving in the same direction, which just happened to put pressure on the entire system.
Yeah.
But like, that's why I say, like, politics doesn't change. At the end of the day, it needs to be a large group of people moving in the same direction. I'm saying we should get as many people as possible to drive the wedge into the Conservative Party between the base of what actual Canadians want and what the leadership wants. Because what the base wants is they definitely want to start deportations. They want to be much tougher on immigration. And then number two, I think they would probably like to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization as a gesture to at least say that these institutions casually dehumanize right-wing minded people like us. Why wouldn't the Conservative Party want to do that? I think the entire conservative base would want that.
Sure.
And the idea is, in a perfect world, we force Polyev, the Conservative Party, into a confrontation with the mainstream media and like actually start a kind of like, fake news, like that kind of dynamic that we had with Trump back in 2016. Until that confrontation happens, then like we're still like living in the past.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm just saying, I think that my experience and from what I've seen, if we get tied up in, and so attacking the top is putting people who actually work for the citizenry here who already know about these guys. Because what happens is the top, well, you said I didn't even explain it, so I'll explain it. And I have to get going as well. So I'm trying to explain it. So like, if you have the reason that these people are insulated, the reason the people at the top are insulated is because the people in the second tier work for them. They have changed the laws to make what we do about talking about them illegal, or they're in the process of trying to change the laws. They've already done it in England. So if we put people here, like if the truckers took the next step and said, you all are done. This parliament's done. This government has fallen, and we're going to replace you. And I'm not saying I understand. Like I understand the problems with that.
We were so close, brother.
Wave a magic wand, right? I'm not saying it's possible, but if the truckers replace that government, that federal government, then the people at the top, the globalists, lost their asset. They lose control. That's what I'm saying. You cut them out, and these people don't matter because they're puppets. And I'm having the door knocked. Give me a second, Xander. I'm almost
dragged off.
Yeah,
I'm
almost
dragged off. So last thing to tie some of that together. The people at the top want mass immigration for cheap foreign labor. The thing is, if I say, hey, the globalists want cheap foreign labor. Yeah, okay. A lot of people might agree with that. But if I say like pressuring the Conservative Party to oppose mass immigration That's something that more people can kind of understand and get on board with. So I'm basically saying that, like, by attacking the managerial class, that's an effective proxy to attack the higher ups on the specific issues. Because, like I said, you have to like attack the agenda of the highest up people to cause them pain.
But the power structure looks like this: the people here are appointed by these people here. The people here work for the people at the top. These people down here don't matter. So the pressure we'd have to exert here, I think, is too much. It's more than we can exert. We don't have a lever big enough to exert the pressure because these people pay for these people to be in office. That's
why it's always a David versus Goliath story, right?
I agree. That's it. That's the truth. All right, where can they find you? What last words, etc.?
If you're worried about Antifa violence and anti-hate demonizing right-wingers in Canada, it's a government-funded organization. I am on the home stretch of finishing this documentary about that whole phenomena. You can go to givesendgo.com/save free speech. There will be a trailer dropping soon. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
sir.
No, it's always an interesting conversation. I enjoy our conversations, and I wish I had a bit more time. And we've dragged it out 15 minutes longer than usual. So
this is a Freemason symbol for those who don't know.
Oh,
He was flashing all these Freemason symbols. It's crazy, dude. It's over for you. You're going to be on a.
I would cover my eye, but that shit's serious, man. I don't want to sell. I don't want to sell my soul. It belongs to me. Thank you very much. Okay, that's enough out of us. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us, and we'll catch you next time.